There it is. It's honest. Love the title.
I thought you'd like that.
No, I actually really like going on other people's channels. I'm gonna do a sound check real quick.
Hey, Steven. YouTube just sent me an email. You are now live with Honest Gas. I don't know why it does that.
I think it just. I think you just go to the settings and you turn off email notifications.
Yeah, I know. It just never did it before. It started the last stream. Hey, Grizzly Man. Man in Black. What's up, brother?
How's it going, guys? Yeah, I haven't seen Man in Black in a while.
Yeah, he comes and hangs out in my streams, and we talk offline. He's a good guy, man. I've gotten a chance to know him a little bit, and he's a really good guy.
Yeah, if I remember correctly, we've spoken in the past, or at least through YouTube.
Yeah, so it looks like the notifications are barely going out, or people are just busy. Because
Right.
normally I have a whole lot more than this in here.
We've only been on moments.
So,
Plus,
hey James. Well, I figured, the last stream got pretty heated with you in the chat. A lot of people were, hey guys.
Oh yeah, I mean we can bring that up. What I was talking about was freedom, in the sense that I think people are kidding themselves a lot of the time when it comes down to like the Constitution and things like that, because it doesn't take a piece of paper to make you free. Choice is what makes you free. If you have choice, you're free. Even if you're a slave, you still have the choice to fight and die. Die fighting for your freedom. But a lot of times, the ones that were alive, they chose not to die fighting for their freedom. So it's about whether you're willing to actually use that freedom or not.
Yeah, but see, I don't agree. I don't think that's freedom. I don't think that, choosing to obey or die is freedom. That's not.
Well,
I don't have the choice to go live in the woods and build a cabin and fish for my own food. And no, I don't.
It would be a short life. It would be a hard and maybe miserable life even, but it would certainly be a choice.
Yeah, but you got to pay taxes. You can't just get away. That's my point. Is
right.
There is no true freedom in that sense.
Yeah, I mean, if you want toilets are not free, right? Like freedom is dying of dysentery in the woods, right, with no one else around. That's what freedom is. Having grocery stores, having hospitals and roads and things like that. Those aren't free. That is an implied. You're going to use it. You're going to help pay for it, kind of thing. So unless if you don't like the idea of, all right, I'm going to sacrifice a little bit of my freedom because I have to live in the same area as everyone else, because my ultimate freedom means the detriment to others' freedom, right? So my neighbor and I, we have to have a mutual agreement that we're going to stifle our own freedoms, the freedom of taking their stuff for the sake of numbers and safety in numbers, and for the sake of, if I'm in good terms with my neighbor, then maybe if he gets attacked, he'll let me know before I get attacked, and then I can help him. We're talking about on the nature, the naturistic standpoint, is that when it comes down to it, you're master of your own domain. You can choose to save that baby's life, or to extinguish it, or to do nothing, whatever the circumstances.
Yeah, but I don't. I'm referring strictly to the fact that, like, look at these soldiers. They go out and they sacrifice a lot for our country to be so-called free. Then they come home and you know, they're generally just kicked to the side. You know, they got to fight for medical coverage,
Right.
anything like that. And on top of all that, they do not have the choice to be absolutely free. I'm talking in the sense that if they were to go out and build that cabin, maybe they dreamed of that their whole lives, and they've always wanted
Right.
to live off the grid, and they don't care about using a road or having city
Right.
plumbing. You know, they're perfectly content with digging a hole and pooping in it. You know,
Right.
they still can't do that because the only options they have is pay taxes or go to jail,
Or
and that's not
be worthless.
freedom.
I mean, it's in the sense that like I'll use the example of like it's illegal to murder kind of thing, right? That doesn't necessarily stop people from murdering. You can not pay taxes, you can not use the roads, you can poop in a hole in the ground, that kind of thing. Every choice has consequences, right? And one of the choices of not paying taxes is that they're going to look for you. But if you're a nobody, they don't know that you're having a bunch of guns and that kind of thing or whatever. If you're a nobody, they're not going to pay attention to you. That kind of thing. It comes down to choice, is what it all comes down to. Is that I choose not to murder for a number of reasons. One, it's not very polite, and two, people are going to come after me if I do that. So I choose the lesser of two difficulties, and I would say it's more difficult to murder than it is to not murder, kind of thing.
Well, now here's the burning question. I know it's been on a lot. Well, it's not been on our minds, but it comes up is why did your entire view of auditing flip? Like just literally overnight? Because I remember it was like a switch in you.
Oh, it was a long time coming, right? Because I've thought about it a lot, and I'll go to the comments in just a minute. Is that it it was an evolution of knowledge. Is that I went from knowing absolutely nothing about anything involving police, First Amendment stuff, that kind of thing, or whatever. I went from having no idea to some idea to more idea, and now to a fairly good understanding, at least for me, an understanding for my sake. Um, and I wouldn't say it happened overnight. I'd say it happened over a long period of time. Bao had a big, huge part to play in that. Monkey had a part to play in that. You know, um, James Freeman did. A number of influences were in the direction of this isn't for me. You know what I mean? Certainly now I've chilled out a lot more about it. My stance is, hey, if you want to go do that, I don't think it's a good idea, but if that's what you want to do, hey, whatever.
Yeah, but look at the positivity that's come out of it. I know people question that all the time, but the fact is there is no denying. There's no denying Turner versus Driver. There's no denying Almost Sparks. There's no denying Moral Bay. I mean, and overall, I have noticed uh, um, an increase in awareness amongst both cops and civilians about the movement, about auditing. They drive by Furry all the time, and I see them only because she audits almost every day, and
Right.
you'll see people drive by saying, "Hey, Furry Potato, good auditing." Oh,
Right.
there's your buddy James Freeman now.
What's up, man?
Oh, damn,
Look,
Freeman, I forgot.
I can fill all the zeppelins.
Yeah,
Uh,
but I mean,
the,
there has been an increase in awareness, an increase in public knowledge. You
I'll
know,
say that in the sense that, yeah, in the areas where the auditors are the most persistent, sure. I mean, it, it's kind of like, what now, right? Now that the police have learned that these are the specific people that you don't mess excuse me, mess with, are we really seeing what a difference, or are we just, is it just what it looks like kind of thing? Because if I saw a furry potato when I was a police officer, and I've known all the incidents, I've heard all stories, I would want to leave that person alone, not because it's the right thing to do, but because I don't want to be annoyed. I don't want to have the paperwork to do. I don't want to have to throw them in jail because they did something that is illegal, and that kind of thing, or whatever. I've never been a cop, so
You
uh,
look at Patrick DeCambria's last message and respond to that. I would like to hear your point.
yeah. Here, honest guess is a hey, everyone's entitled to their opinion.
Well, I mean, the fact is, in all honesty, you know my view on you and auditing, and your view of
Oh yeah,
auditing,
we
and
disagreed
I
a
like
lot.
Honest Gas, the artist. I like him a lot. I think he's a great artist. I think Honest Gas' view on auditing is very skewed. I think it's been corrupted in some way. I don't know how, and I don't agree with his view on auditing, but that's my point of view. You
Well, I'll
know,
give you an idea is that, like, before this, I never knew what a municipal building was even for. You know, I didn't know uh, some of the complications or the kind of things that police have to deal with. I didn't even know the kind of pressure a judge has. That kind of thing. And I've seen bad judges. I've seen good judges. Kind of thing. I've met good cops. Met bad. Well, it, all that
James Freeman.
all that all that's subjective, of course. I've been polite to cops. I've been mean to cops. That's what I should say. Um, and, and
Look at Freeman's message. You guys have gone auditing together, so it makes it more realistic in the banter or whatever because he knows you in person a heck of a lot more than any of us. So
yeah,
I
yeah.
mean,
I'm still down for a little get together for I guess, an update kind of thing or whatever. This is, I suppose, as close to it as we can get.
I wasn't an auditor troll. I was just and I was anti-auditing because the auditors at the time, James Freeman is one of them, wouldn't answer my questions that I kept leaving on their videos. I mean, I left tons of questions and nobody would answer them. So I got really bitter because of it. And yes,
Right.
I did leave messages, nasty messages on their videos and whatnot. Luckily, Denise Lynn and Michigan Mister was the first to approach me, but they took the time to talk to me and help me learn, you know, how wrong I was about the way the world saw the First Amendment or the country because I didn't see a problem. I was like,
Right.
I see people with cameras all the time. What's the problem? But then I
Yeah.
started noticing all these videos of people who are just filming their kids in the park or you vlogging, the people that are constantly with selfie sticks filming
Right.
themselves would run into people that, oh, you can't film me, this, that, and the other. It would turn
Right.
into an argument, and I started to realize how big of a problem there really was. Um,
Well,
yeah, sorry,
certainly
I'm
the
trying to
art
read
community.
Freeman. I
Certainly,
have
the art community makes a big deal out of a lot of these cases. Um, Kind of like being accosted. I didn't really see a lot of that. If anything, people were jumping in front of my camera when I was auditing. I remember at the Cancer Survivors Plaza in Dallas, I'm sitting there getting my thing set up, pointing my camera, and these two girls were just like, "Oh my gosh!" And they jumped in front of the camera and they were like, "Hey," and I was just like, "Oh man, I didn't even have the camera going." So, I see a completely different thing when I go out and film. GTAG is an extremely good example of the difference that we see, right? Is that GTAG and I, we have a very similar way that we go about doing things. And we go to the same places. He goes to more places, but we go to the same places, and he gets a very different reaction, right? Even that big church down in Dallas, the First Baptist or whatever, right? I'm walking down that road with fucking makeup and trench coat and crazy fucking shit all over me, and they leave me alone. They didn't even touch me. They didn't bother me or come out and talk to me or whatever. He walks, GTAG walks down the street with normal clothes, a backpack or something maybe, and they're like, "You can't be here. You're not welcome here," kind of thing. And it's just like, what are we doing differently, kind of thing, you know. I would say main difference between me and GTAG, or everybody, I suppose everyone else, is I don't film faces. I think that does a great deal towards having a good interaction. And let me get to the comments real quick.
Sorry, I was typing on a message while you were talking. I figured it was easier.
Now, James Stringman is right, though. I will have to clarify that is that technically we didn't really go on an audit together. I was there to learn from James. I wasn't supposed to open my mouth. I told myself that I was going to let him do it, and I'll see how he does it. But my innate politeness just kind of kicks in when I'm around people. So when things started getting a little heated with I guess not the staff. I don't know. I felt bad for that lady for a little while until I realized how much she messed up. It's like, you don't like to be on camera. Why are you standing in front of it, kind of thing?
One question that has come up before, but it's a sensitive topic, but I know you generally don't care,
For sure.
is your health status and what you've dealt with.
Right.
Does that play a factor in your change of view of auditing in general and activists and whatnot? Has that played a
Well,
role?
well, I suppose having to take that break uh, probably played a big role into it because I went from going on the audits to critiquing audits, right? So it changed my stance from watching police to watching auditors, and I think that probably played a pretty big role in my transition from hey, I think this is a great idea to I don't know why these people are wasting their time, that kind of thing. Of course, that time I was a bit more hostile. Nowadays, I'm just like, you want to make an ass of yourself, fine, whatever. I mean, I don't really watch the videos anymore, so I don't really have much of a stake in what happens nowadays. I mean, I was actually pulled over the other day. Did I tell you?
No, you
Um,
didn't.
I pulled out of my driveway, of course, right? And it's always right out of the driveway, and they followed me all the way until I almost reached the highway, and then they pulled me over for uh, taking a right turn and going into the middle lane instead of the immediate right lane. So he started following me way the fuck back there to catch me on a turning thing. And of course, is there drugs, guns, dead midgets, that kind of thing in the car. And I didn't give consent or anything. Of course, they got the dog, and it hit, and then they didn't find anything, and they're like, "What's this? Why is their dog hit?" And I wound up going home with it was a warning for the turning and a fix-it ticket for my license being expired. Apparently, after your birthday, of course. Anyway, that whole experience could have been 10 times worse if A, I was filming it, right? B, if I was immediately confrontational, right? You don't have to answer questions, but that doesn't mean you have to be, start angry or anything like that. Like when they asked me when was the last time there was weed in the car, my answer was, you know, who says there's weed in the car, kind of thing. Or you trust the dog? It, you just, I just don't see why there has to be any kind of confrontation. Is what I guess I'm thinking. Don't forget, cops are dangerous, right? They could have taken me to jail. They could have they could have towed my truck like they towed my car like they did with my truck, you know. Um, but I have more control over the situation than people lead on. Is that as long as I'm not being confrontational, I should be able to get out of it fine. But you also shouldn't be breaking the law, kind of thing. Which I guess technically I did.
Yeah, well, I have to say, man, in all honesty, I hate the fact that you flipped like you did because I mean I remember the night Monkey got jumped and
Right.
your comments on there honestly really pissed me off because
Oh,
Monkey,
pissed off a lot of people.
in my view, Monkey is one of the best. He's a great auditor and he's a great guy. I've talked to him offline. He's
Sure.
a
Yeah.
great guy, and so it really did piss me off. And you never did retract that, or do
No.
you feel sorry at all for what you said?
My whole thing about that was because I didn't even know Monkey when that, like, I never watched his videos, nothing. When that incident happened, I was more concerned about preventing that from happening for others, right? So Monkey was merely the subject of the topic, right? My topic was road rage or or ego battles. That's what the topic was. What happened between Monkey and the inhabitants of that city was a an ego battle, right? Is that he could have handled the situation in a million different ways. He chose to handle it in a really poor way, and that was really what I was pointing out. After that, though, I saw his arrest videos at that the police station. I saw how he was treating Doug. That kind of thing. And me personally, if I didn't know any of that, sure, I'd be able to have beer with Monkey. I'd probably still be able to have a beer with Monkey now. It's just I can't feel sorry when someone is doing. Of course, I can feel sorry. Like I don't like it when people get beat up. That's not cool. You know.
Oh, for God's sakes, these stupid little trolls, I am so over these people. Someone thinks it's funny to make peg leg jokes about my diabetic mother that lost her leg.
Oh dang, yeah.
So it gets old real fast.
Yeah, I remember seeing that video.
Apparently, everybody in the channel really wants to hear about your eating human flesh thing.
What is more satisfying than devouring your enemy in a plate of A1 sauce?
They want to know if you're absolutely serious or not, whether or not you want to try human flesh.
Oh, I would eat my enemy given the chance, for sure. Yeah, I don't have a lot, and there's already too much meat. I'd probably invite some people to join me.
Yeah, well, that's all on you, dude. I know.
If
Yeah,
it
I
would be,
remember this case I saw on TV about a cop down in New York. I believe it was New York City, who was on one of those black web, dark web sites, and he
yeah,
had this entire fantasy he wrote out about wanting to eat his wife, like literally chop her up and eat her.
right.
And he forgot to log out one day, and his wife saw it, and she read it all. So she blew him in. She called his boss. He was arrested, thrown in jail, obviously fired, divorced,
Bro.
lost everything. I mean, so yeah,
Yeah, you don't.
I'd watch what you'd say, dude. I mean,
Yeah, you certainly don't want to mean it like I'm open about it because obviously, am I going to eat somebody? Maybe, but probably not.
yeah, that's if it was a survival situation and I absolutely had to,
Well, it wouldn't be about food. It would be about revenge. It's a power thing. You know what I mean? It's like peeing on someone. It's like
hey, Spinder, how you doing, brother? Why me though? Your buddy's here.
what's that, Juanito?
Yeah, I don't know, man. You do get a little outlandish on some things, and I get it. You're an eccentric person, but you know we have our differences, and that's why I avoid
Yeah,
certain conversations with you because
particular
it's gonna
topics.
turn into an
Yeah,
argument, guaranteed.
yeah. And
Um,
it was you too. I'm sorry, it was you that did it. You're responsible for this friendship because up until because you were still decent to me the whole time, right? Like even when I was being somewhat mean, in the sense that you know how texting is, you can't hear the context.
but
But
Renee, like I said, my big thing. I don't mean to cut you off, but
okay,
I like Honest Gas, the artist. I like the work I see him do with Copper Wire and Semi Precious Stones, things like that. Honestly, he knows I don't agree with him on almost everything else. I mean, God
right,
forbid, don't bring up circumcision around him.
for
But
real.
um, but as far I like him, the artist. So
Yeah, I've been trying to refine this idea of the armor, because it's like I don't want to half-ass it, kind of thing. And I really feel like that first attempt at the chest was kind of a half-assery. Oh
well, it
man, my
was
feet.
very Iron Man-y.
Dang it! Hang on.
Steven Tunis.
There we go. I got it.
I know, Renee. I get it. I know a lot of people say the same, but I mean, look at that. Who would think of something like that? And look how cool that turned out. You know, it may seem weird to some people, but I think it looks cool.
Yeah, I wore it to the club not too long ago, and one of the first things coming through my mind when I got on the dance floor was, "Ooh, don't look like you're about to blow up." Because I was wearing my trench coat and shit like that, my hood
Oh,
and
for
whatnot.
crying out loud! These people have like such little life that they keep going out and creating new YouTube accounts and channels so they can come in here, make one comment, get blocked, and then go do it all over again. Talk about not having a life. I mean, these people, I've seen some of these guys come in like 5 times in a single stream. They'll go and make a new account just to come in and harass me and get banned.
Yeah, it's fun. If you imagine, if you imagine on the other side of the screen, about 90% of the time, they're really enjoying it, right? So when you go, oh man, these guys won't let up, that's like a win, right? They go, yeah, if I just do one more time, he'll blow up.
I
So
just block them. I just block. You let them come in, I'll block them. I don't
yeah,
care. I have no problem with blocking idiots.
yeah, I agree. That's really the only thing you can do.
Tunis says, did he or did he not admit to stealing from an homeless guy?
Yeah, it was a thing, a this thing, this little box here. This is out by the dumpster. I had to clean up that area, and everything was going in the dumpster. So I just grabbed what I wanted. You know,
So,
you know,
so you were told to buy what? Like you were hired to clean up everything out there, period, and you just kept that, or hey,
it
bye,
was
Landley.
it's right outside my neighborhood, and that area is getting or was getting really bad with people sleeping there right behind that dumpster, right? And so it was having to all get cleaned up kind of thing. So it was all going in the trash anyway.
Oh, okay. Well, so it's not like you walked up to a homeless guy and snatched it from him.
No.
Okay. Well, see, this is what I mean. You know, people. This is why I figured let him come on here and address these things personally. You know, so you guys know. You know, you get it from the horse's mouth.
To answer Michigan, Mister, let's go to question. Sir, adamant against the movement. I don't know about Leach, but I actually don't watch the channels anymore. Like, I think the last time I watched an audit video was Degeneration Nation doing Auditing America. You know,
That's not even really an audit video. That's just a fool taking one of our videos and trying to capitalize on it.
yeah, it's for entertainment purposes.
Degeneration Nation is just as bad as that Van Valiant idiot. They both refuse to go on come on my stream or any other stream and stand up for what they do. You know, taking people's videos and shamelessly doing what they do, and it's just frustrating.
Yeah, I mean that's certainly their First Amendment. You know, fair use and all that.
Well, yeah, but a lot of times it's not fair use. They're not commentating over it or anything else. They literally play a section of the video without modifying it in any way. That's not fair use.
For sure. I mean, it still shouldn't. If the First Amendment community is all about the First Amendment, things like people using their videos to make fun of them or whatever shouldn't deter them at all. If anything, they should be encouraged by that in the sense that wow, they're using their First Amendment. You know, it's like the flag issue, right? Is another one of the big things that I had towards the audit community was their adamancy, their uh, their hatred towards like the blue line flag thing, you know, that kind of thing, or really any kind of symbol that is against them, you know. Um, it's that I don't know. It was just that hypocrisy that
It's not hypocrisy. You don't understand. A lot of people make that mistake all the time. The First Amendment does not apply to a private internet platform, privately owned. It does not apply to private citizen to private citizen communications of any sort. The
right.
First Amendment is strictly against to protect against government. It has nothing to do with my YouTube channel or allowing people to say whatever they want in my channel or people taking my videos and using them.
Right.
That First Amendment does not apply at all. So it really frustrates me when people say that because it has nothing to do with the First Amendment at all.
Well, I mean, we're talking about free speech, though. You know,
Free speech against the government. I don't go to private businesses and audit. I don't go to private museums or private libraries or private
right,
restaurants or wherever.
right.
I don't believe in that. I believe in auditing against government facilities, you know, and practicing your First Amendment right to free speech while engaged in any type of government related issues, whether you're just standing on the sideboard filming or you're getting a complaint form. That's all
Right.
government related. So
Yeah.
that's where I believe the First Amendment applies. I don't believe that I should allow people to come into my channel, say whatever they want, when they want,
Right.
how they want, and just because I block them, I'm against the First Amendment? No.
Right.
I block them because I'm tired of seeing the garbage.
Right, because they're disrupting the operation, I guess is what you call it. Yeah, I get that part. It's the active, not you specifically, of course. It's the active animosity towards things like the blue line flag, right? Is that people who say that they're totally for free speech and the First Amendment and things like that, and then they go and say, "Well, you're not allowed to have the blue line flag, right? Or the government shouldn't have a blue line flag, or something like." I can agree that maybe the police stations and things like that, like police shouldn't be able to wear political symbols or whatever, but it isn't really. It's when someone sees the blue line flag, right? They interpret it on their own. Is that fair to say? Right? Like the American flag or whatever. But
When
when it
I
comes,
see the blue line flag, I see an absolute desecration of a symbol that represents this country as a whole. Steve
right?
Pinder, that's just gas, man. He's always wearing the makeup.
Oh yeah, looks pretty good, huh? No,
But the blue line flag to me is slanderous. It's taking the absolute symbol of this country. It is. The flag is the absolute symbol of the United States.
right. And
And
symbols are important. Symbols are very important.
yeah, well, it is. Ask any soldier who wears that flag on their arm.
Right.
And so when they come around and take that flag and it's not just the blue line flag itself, it's
Right.
the mentality behind the blue line.
Right.
It's that whole quote unquote secret brotherhood, that whole, nudge nudge, wink wink,
Right.
blue line mentality. That's what makes the blue line flag itself so slanderous. It's not the
Right.
fact that it has a blue line. It's everything behind that blue line.
Yeah. I
So,
follow you. It's who determines what it means though,
what do you mean?
in the
They
sense that
determine what the blue line means. The people behind the blue line, the ones that are always wearing the blue line, and you can tell that they automatically act like some secret brotherhood when they see these blue lines on each other. It's no different than the Bloods wearing the red bandanas, or the Crips wearing the blue, or
right,
the Latin Kings wearing the yellow. They
right, they're all
know that
symbols.
it's
Right.
that nudge nudge wink wink thing. And it's the same
Well,
thing
I
behind the blue
mean,
line.
the police will give you a different response though for what they think it means.
Hey,
Or,
Huckleberry.
or police supporter, a police supporter will tell you a different, give you a different answer. But my question is, who's correct? Who determines what the blue line means? And that's where the difficulty lies, is that we can't just tell people, hey, you can't have this blue line flag, and we're going to make it against the law for you to have this blue line flag. That just never works, because they don't have the same idea of what it means, right? They have the idea that it means honoring dead police officers, right? And you're telling them that's awful. You don't deserve to have, not you specifically, but taking that away, they're going to interpret it as, you hate police, you hate me, you hate freedom, you hate, blah blah blah, and all it's going to do is make them cling even harder to it, even cling to it in secret if they have to. So going against something like a blue line flag, or a symbol like the blue line flag, it does no good. It would be like going to any flag, really. It would be like going to what's a prominent flag? It would be like going to the rainbow flag and saying, that's not allowed. I think it's disgusting. I think it's wrong. I think that it should be illegal to fly it. You know, all the same things, only now towards gay people or whatever. Um, it's definitely a slippery slope because then what is someone going to say? Oh, I don't like the American flag because it offends me and it makes me upset. Kind of thing. So,
Yeah, but like I said, I've always said this, and people I've been bashed for it just as much as anyone else. But
right,
I've always said that I firmly believe there are good cops out there. I don't believe in the whole all cops are evil, you
yeah,
know. But that whole mentality of we can get away with what we want, wink, wink, nudge, nudge, because we're in the blue line. That so, like Steve Pinder just said, he doesn't agree with the blue line flag itself. He has a blue line on his truck. He has a lot of cop friends, you know,
right.
but he says, it's against code. So that's another thing there. There is that code where it's not a law, but it is a code that you cannot
Well,
desecrate the flag,
there's definitely
basically.
that distinction because, right, we are talking about the American flag, the blue line American flag, right? That's what we've
Yes,
been.
that's exact. I'm not referring to
Right,
just a black
yeah,
with blue line. I'm referring
yeah.
to them.
I like that one. Like, I don't mind supporting police, kind of thing.
Yeah,
I did have blue nail polish on my middle fingers, but I can't find where that nail polish is.
yeah. I
Um,
don't agree with the whole blue line American flag modifying the American flag in any way, shape, or form.
I mean, not
Personally, my father was a Marine. I've got a lot of my family was military,
right,
and I couldn't join because of my heart. But
right,
the fact is, a lot of my family was military. They've fought in wars, you know. So when I see that, even before I was part of this community and when I was considered anti-auditing and stuff, I still did not agree with modifying the American flag
right.
to the extent that they did. You know,
Right. And I agree. Me personally, I think that it isn't okay to modify something like the American flag because, like we were saying, symbols are important. It's like the eagle is a symbol, the wreath is a symbol, the arrows are a symbol. All of those things mean something. When you start, changing that eagle into a pink unicorn or some shit, you start pissing off a lot of people, and it certainly making a lot of confusion as well. But at the same time, like as you're saying, it doesn't pertain. It pertains to government, right? Like even though it's against flag codes, the government can't stop you from doing that, right? They can't stop you from changing the American flag to a rainbow American flag or a blue line American flag, something along those lines. They can't stop you because that goes against the Constitution. But you certainly can be unpopular for it, right? So there's a difference between the social consequences and the legal consequences of something, right? Like sometimes there's both, like eating people. Eating people is both a socially consequential thing to do and a legally consequential thing to do, and health if we're getting into it. But um, that's that's the kind of thing you got to factor in when you make decisions like fuck all police, or something along those lines. Is that you got to understand the social consequences of saying things like that out loud. Well, for anything, like if you were against military, sure, be against military, but you should probably keep it to yourself. There's nothing illegal about being against the military, but you're going to have some serious social consequences if you go walking around with troops deserved it or something written on your shirt. Uh, um, so yeah, there's that freedom. You have that freedom, but do you want to exercise it, kind of thing?
well, like I said, I don't agree with the blue line mentality. I don't like that whole secret brotherhood type thing
Right,
amongst people that are carrying deadly weapons and are supposed to be protecting our rights and enforcing our laws. I don't care if it's a blue line flag or a pin for the lodge of the police that hate people
Right.
club, whatever. The point is that whole secret brotherhood mentality of we can get away with this and this guy's going to protect me because I see he's wearing that too. You know, that
Right.
mentality. And of course, the blue line flag is the ultimate expression of that. You
Right.
know, Mike the cop flies one willingly, and I tried to question him on it, and he completely evaded it. But you
Well,
know,
his answer was, I think his answer was that he had the freedom or something like that.
yeah, he evaded it. He tried to tell me that he tried to say that there is no such thing as gang signs, and that cops don't look at blood. Going to a ghetto and seeing a bunch of people wearing red bandanas. He said that their instinct isn't automatically that they're part of a gang. Come on now, cops are explicitly trained to look for gang signs, gang
Right.
symbols, gang tattoos, gangs, anything gang related.
Right.
So that was completely and utterly a lie. It was a farce, and I've tried to get him back on here to talk about it.
I
And
don't. I don't think he's interested. I'm pretty sure he was saying that he. Last I saw his video on that topic was that he probably wasn't going to waste his time.
well,
Uh,
I've talked to him in email, and he kept saying he was going to come back on, and then all of a sudden he stopped answering me. So
yeah.
you know, take that at what as you will. Me personally, I think he just didn't like being. I mean, I know that I screwed up on that and I let too many people on that stream. I get it. That was my fault. But still, he completely and utterly evaded it. But
Well, I
the
mean,
fact still is, you know, he's going to keep leading back to it. I don't agree with the flag. So there's my take on it. Take it how you
right.
will. But I still, like I said, I still believe in the whole not all cops are bad, not all cops are evil,
Right.
not all cops are out to crush you and take away your rights. What I have problems with is beyond police. I have
Right.
issues with like border patrol
Yeah.
and Congress, things like that. Higher up the chain. Like I can't tell you how many comments I get on my News Now Houston border refusal border checkpoint refusal compilation. I mean, it's up to almost 60,000 views or some crap, and I've gotten tons of comments of why don't you just say yes, you're American and go. It's like people aren't seeing that whole duh. Is a drug dealer gonna come and say, "Yep, I'm American" every time, or are they
Right.
gonna say, "Yep, I got drugs, take me away"? No.
Yeah, it
So,
is. It's a kind of. I get what you're coming at, right? Is that, yeah, is the guy who's breaking the law going to tell the truth, kind of thing? I agree that that is an ultimately bullshit question, right? And I definitely am upset that the police officer was essentially waiting outside my driveway, right? And then decided to follow me for probably over a mile before finding something to fucking pull me over on. That's what I had a problem with. Like, pull me over if you want, but don't fucking spit and don't insult me by saying, "Oh, I pulled you over because you didn't turn correctly." Like, oh right, because I was turning correctly all the way up until this point. So yeah, I would say that my stance on police is they're very dangerous. Is that you should be very aware of how dangerous they are, and that driving dirty is not a good idea, and
oh,
bucking against the system is not a good idea. That kind of thing. It's
that's a very good question, Michigan Mister.
I think the movement should go in legislation. I think you should start running for positions of power, and let the people decide whether you guys are worthy of critiquing police or not. Because I would prefer a trained professional make the decisions of whether a police officer has done the wrong thing or not, as opposed to an average citizen who doesn't know jack shit about what it means to be a lawyer or a police officer or a judge or anything. Because right, like it was the chief of police up in North Dakota, right? I had a hard time not liking the guy because he was so fucking reasonable about everything. Every time I had a complaint, he had some kind of reasonable explanation for me. Even if I didn't like the explanation, it still made sense, right? And so I wound up actually kind of respecting the guy a little bit in the end, because what he told me was, I get it. There's corruption. That's why I became chief of police, because I didn't like the way the guy before me was doing it. So I took action and decided to do something about it. When I see auditors out there, we'll say majority, not all, of course. I don't see someone taking action. I see someone complaining a lot. Someone who certainly has a lot to say, but really doesn't want to go through the proper channels to do anything. Because there are proper channels, and it takes a long time, and it takes money, kind of thing. It takes influence and people to know you. Like when like if you want to become a police chief, right, a chief of police or whatever, it takes campaigning. It takes certain achievements, like owning a business and things like that. Um, Real difference is made from people who really go that extra mile, win the race, get that position of power and use it responsibly. That's certainly how I feel about.
Well, unfortunately, as it was pointed out in the channel, uh, it it's not. It's been like that for how many hundreds of years now? 200 years, some odd years now,
Yeah,
and still hasn't changed. So no, I mean I agree to an extent that if we could get people that believed in what we believe in positions of authority, that it would
right.
help in some extent, even if it's just spreading knowledge.
Yeah,
But I don't believe that that's the path the movement as a whole should take. I believe that um, action is going to speak a lot louder than words. And, like,
right.
for example, Turner versus Driver. Batusai went out in the field with a camera, got harassed, got put in the cuffs, all that illegally.
Right.
And he took it through the courts and got, I mean, case law created based on his incident, his action. I
Yeah,
believe that, uh, you know, I don't believe in the whole being passive and just, I mean, I do agree people, now let me make this up front. People should be quiet if you don't know what you're doing, or if you don't know what to say under the circumstances you're in, be
right.
quiet. Close your mouth. But I also believe in the whole spreading knowledge. I believe in the whole education. The First Amendment, when I first got part of this movement, it was about educating the public, educating the officials. Now, countless auditors have encountered countless cops and civilians that have no idea what the First Amendment really is, that
Right.
couldn't name the five parts of the First Amendment, you
Yeah.
know. And so I believe in the movement as a whole should be focused on spreading the knowledge, building a rapport, and helping expose the bad ones, like Batusai did, like
Right.
like C.J. Grissom and them did down in Almost Park. Like Nathaniel did out in Morro Bay.
Right.
They exposed the corruptions and they made change. They spread knowledge. I believe in spreading knowledge. I don't believe in spreading. Now, I firmly believe that, like, look at the guys out in Colorado. Many of them have had so many negative encounters with police that they just flat out say, F the police all the time.
Yep.
And that's their choice.
Yeah.
They're perfectly entitled to it. And
Right.
I will
Right.
back them 100%. Otto knows, uh, you know, Eric knows, Eric Brandt knows. I've talked to him offline a bunch of times.
Yeah.
I back them all as activists 100%. Even
Sure.
if I don't agree with everything they say. I don't agree with the whole F all police. I don't, but that's my choice. I
Yeah.
believe that
There, there's a social consequences to that. Yeah.
well, I'm
And
not
I
even,
feel
I suffered the social consequences of auditing for the last year. I was on probation and I got busted auditing. When I went out with Bullet, my video got posted on the Monroe County Sheriff's Facebook page,
right.
and they in turn contacted my. They found out I was on probation. They contacted my PO, showed him the video. His boss saw the video. I got called downtown, and literally they took my phone, turned it off. I wasn't allowed to have it in there anymore. And they ringed me a new asshole. And they made it very clear that if I got caught auditing again while on probation, they would find a reason to violate me.
Yeah.
So, and that, that's just how it was. So
Right.
I get the social consequence of it, but that didn't stop me. I did what I
Right.
could while I was on probation. Now I'm off, and I'm going to do whatever I can to spread the knowledge. And that's just the way it is. That's the way I believe it should be. I believe that we should all be helping spread knowledge.
Right.
Steve Pinder, he's a very big Second Amendment auditor. Well, I'm sorry you don't like me, Kitty Blue. I mean, I don't know what to tell you. But, Liz Steve Pinder, he's a big Second Amendment auditor. He believes in the Second Amendment wholly. He doesn't leave his house without his weapon.
Right.
But if he came here to New York, he couldn't do that at all.
Right.
Even if you got a CCW, you can't. That's only for concealed. You
Yeah, even
cannot
if you're
open.
100% legal, you can have a gun. Even if it was legal, they'd still take it away, send you to jail. New
Right,
York is bad. Yeah.
right. Well, look at how many times that happens. Southside Slacker, Crazy Carl, C.J. Grissom, News Now Houston. How many times have they all gone out with a gun, just walking, doing nothing more than walking, and got thrown to the ground, tased, yelled at, all that? Look at Colorado Donkey. All he was doing was wearing a damn mask because it was 40 degrees out. And he got thrown to the ground, and they went through his pockets and all that crazy stuff. This is what
Well,
I mean. Actions speak louder than words.
I kind of want to make a distinction, though, is that I can understand walking down the street, you've got nothing planned, you're not filming, you're not anything. I can understand that situation where you're literally doing nothing but walking down the street. Now, with auditing, it's not necessarily nothing but. Auditing has a specific purpose and goal in mind. Whether that goal be, it doesn't matter what the goal is. You're not doing nothing but filming, right? Like when people say, "Oh, I got arrested just for filming," it's like, no, you weren't just filming.
No, no, no. Wait, now there's plenty of cases where they were literally doing nothing more than filming,
Right? Yeah.
and they got arrested. Like literally, did nothing more than was filming. They didn't fight. They didn't argue. They didn't resist. They didn't run. Nothing.
Sounds like an easy win.
Yeah, no, but the problem is it shouldn't have to be that way. That's the problem. We
I
should
don't think
not
it'll
have
ever.
to
I
shell
don't
out.
think it'll ever happen without some kind of reprimand from somewhere.
But
Because
my point is that we should not be forced to take it to the courts. We
right,
should not be forced to have to pay for lawyers and sit
right,
in jail and pay for bond. Look at Otto the Watchdog. He just got arrested the other night for literally no reason. He still has no idea why he was arrested. They still haven't told him. They still won't release the arrest paperwork.
Well, he's causing waves, isn't he?
So, but the point is, they shouldn't be allowed. That's the blue line mentality I'm talking about. They did what they wanted to do. They didn't care what the law said. They did what they wanted to do.
Certainly, I don't necessarily agree with auditing, but it
Stop
does
CNC or get banned. One or the other.
It does play a role, though. I see, like, certainly before I didn't think of auditing as anything good. I kind of still don't, but that's really, we're splitting hairs here. Is that it still is a piece of the whole thing, right? Is that there's people running for office and there are people out auditing. Like you can't you can't just get rid of one because there's always going to be an auditor. There's always going to be people running for judge, people running for mayor, kind of thing. It's just if you can get those two to work together, it'd be even better. So if you can get politicians to listen to you, certainly what the left does. Left they want something done, changed in politics. They freaking run for office and they get the picket signs and they do things like we should be as crazy as the people who get into office. That should be our goal.
Yeah, but the problem is things that have been in law for over 200 years. The Bill of Rights, the First Amendment was ratified in the late 1790s. So, I mean, you're talking well over 200 years now that it has been into play. It has been the absolute law on free speech in this country as it pertains to the government for over 200 years.
Right.
And yet, here we are, we still have students that are not taught the Bill of Rights. My children, perfect example. I had to teach my children because the schools weren't.
Even a little bit.
The police, there's many cops who don't know all of the First Amendment.
Right.
Or even the Second Amendment. Look at Texas. Of all states, every cop in Texas should have the Second Amendment tattooed on them. Because there's so many that don't realize that the Second Amendment exists. And Texas is the ultimate state of being able to practice your right to bear arms, and yet we still get people thrown to the ground, slammed, put in cells. It's ridiculous. This is why I say their actions are changing it. CJ's and News Not Houston's actions got the changes, and Ecstasy Press was also part of it, and PMP was also part of it. They got the changes made in Almost Park, where they literally changed the statutes on open carry, literally changed the law. So that made a great change, So I mean, I don't agree that just running for office is enough because unfortunately generally once you run for office it's like you lose all your ability to make change. Now you got to do what the higher ups tell you to do.
Well, you got to do what the people tell you to do.
Well, no, that's what you're supposed to do.
Yeah.
You're supposed to do what the people voted you in to do, but you don't. You do what the person above you says, and they do what the person above them says. They do what they decide to do over scotches and martinis at the local politician bar. That's what they do. They don't do what the millions of poverty-stricken people voted them in to do to help them get rid of poverty. They don't do that. That's the problem. It seems like once they're voted in, that's it.
Yep.
They lose their ability to make change.
Yeah.
So
the reason why change happens so slowly, though, is that if change just happened all the time, like I want this different, let's change it today, then there would be no stability whatsoever. Unfortunately, very powerful people are hard to get rid of. But that ability is always there. I certainly, my stance has used to be wholly against the auditing thing, but really, I'm more towards freedom now. Is that I think people should be free to make bad choices and free to make good choices, things like that. It's the only person who's going to have the consequences of anyone's actions is whoever made the made the decision, kind of thing. So, because that was the reason I joined the auditing was because I felt like I was wronged by police and I wanted to get back at them. But as soon as I realized, how fruitless that effort would be, or
Well,
how,
getting back at them was the wrong mentality.
yeah. Well, that's the main reason people join this sort of thing.
Well, see, that's just it. We've also got all these wannabe YouTubers that all they care about is making a cool video with cops are beating them up or arresting them, and they're hoping to win a lawsuit and walk away with a bunch of money. And it's like, no. Look at all of us that have stayed in it. We've been here for years now. We're not. I don't get rich off my channel. I can't even afford to renew this meeting program I'm using. So it's like, I just wanted to touch on that because I'm tired of seeing them. I see them pop up all the time. All these new channels that they beg for 1,000 subscribers because they want to be able to go live, but they get 1,000 subscribers and do nothing. They stop auditing. They just monetize the videos that they have and they let it sit. And it's like, that's the wrong mentality. If you're going to join this movement, I believe that your mentality should be focused on spreading education, knowledge, helping everybody, both officials and citizens, with knowledge. Spirit, I've tried it. It did not, nothing. I've tried like a ton of programs, and none of them work as good as this does. I mean, a lot of them I had to deal with a lot of buffering issues and compatibility issues. Zoom works great and it's resource friendly. It doesn't eat up your system memory. A lot of the processing is actually done on the Zoom servers, so it saves my computer from having to do a lot of the work. So that's why I chose Zoom over all the others. So, but at any rate, like I was saying, I believe that the number one focus should be on spreading knowledge. Furry's done a great job. I know you don't agree with her, but Furry has done a great job of spreading knowledge. So has, SXTC Prez and Denise Lynn and so on. And they're still here. Michigan Easter, he's been part of this as long as I have. He's not getting rich off of it, but he's still here. Denise Lynn is still here. She's not getting rich off of it. Yeah, there are some channels that make a shitload of money off of it, but that's what 1% of the movement, maybe.
Well, Stephen, they won't willingly give up their cash cows. Of course not. That's why you take it from them. That's why you. This is what I mean by running for office: is that you say all these problems exist, but are not you specifically, Brian, or anyone specifically, really, is that the people in power are the ones who have the influence. And if you want that to change, you have to get them out of power. And if you think that the only one who can do it the right way is you, then I expect you to be the one in power come next election, kind of thing. That's what I mean by that is that if you don't like the way the establishment is being run, the only way that you can make a real change is if you do it yourself, kind of thing. That's what I mean by running for office. It doesn't necessarily mean that you're the right one to do it. Like me, I'm no good with power. I know I'm going to use it. Whether it be good or bad, I'm going to use it. That's why I don't strive for power. So
yeah, but I agree with that, but it costs so much money to run for office. It's not even funny. I mean,
It does.
I've known people that have looked into just small office here, local stuff like Board of Education and stuff,
Right.
and even that was ridiculous. You had to have thousands and thousands for advertisement, for
Hours,
airtime.
hours of community service, or holding events for the community, kind of thing. Like in North Dakota, I lived in a really small town, and my boss owned his company there. And to own a company there, you have to meet certain criteria, which is like certain amount of money towards charity for the city. You know, a certain amount of appearances to the events that are held at churches and things like that. You know, just to own a business in any city is actually really difficult in the sense that you still need to have influence in the city and be out there. You know, just like when my brother and I, we had a remodeling business that we did, and we went to homeowners association and volunteered so that we could get that business license kind of perk is that you get those extra points if you have things like charitable hours, that sort of stuff.
I mean, it's just ridiculous, and I don't see myself ever running for an office because, frankly, I have no people skills, and there's just no way I could do it. But
Right.
I mean, there are people within the movement that I think would make great, not politicians because that's such a dirty word,
Yeah, I
but
agree.
would make great public officials, like C.J. Grissom, for instance. I mean, that man is brilliant and he's done a lot. And I think he would be great for any number of positions in Texas. And hell,
Well,
I think he should be in charge of Border Patrol. I think
yeah.
he would be a great person to be in charge of Border Patrol.
Well, there's a what's that saying in comic books, right? With great power comes great responsibility,
Yeah.
right? The trouble is that I certainly have with people in power, and people in general, power, I should say, is that it always seems to be self-interest, right? Is that like I'm not going to run for office, so that kind of, just saying that now. But I don't like the way, let's say, religious people will totally forget about all the other religions or the non-religious because they don't even think about them. It's like is this person you just mentioned to do border patrol? Is he going to obey the law that is in place, and B, is he going to pay attention to all constituents, not just the ones that he's part of? So that's really what the problem is with power, is that you'll get a bunch of, let's say, Christians in there, and then they'll just totally forget the First Amendment being separate church and state. Um, but then again, like I was saying, if I've got something to complain about, I either need to run for office or shut up or play my part, which I'm not.
Well, like I said, I just, it's too. Oh, wait, hold on. Hello from New Jersey. I often joke about running for president or at least a senator. What do you think? Well, Rod, if you're honestly passionate about this country and about standing up for what's right in this country and not about lining your pockets or being part of a secret club or some crap, then yeah, go for it. As long as you meet all the criteria, like you're an American citizen, blah, 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 then go for it. I mean, like I said, I got no people skills, so there's just no way I could run for any office. Unless it's, the office of people with no skills. So there was a reason why I chose a career where I sat in the back room behind closed doors writing code all day. Hey, Miss Coco.
just catching up on the comments.
Yeah. Did you even see that Albert's here?
I did. What's up, Albert?
Albert's one of the ones. He's been here a long time. He's been coming to my streams for well over a year now. Probably since the beginning, almost.
I would say, when Albert's in your chat room, that means there's somebody, man.
Oh, yeah. Hey, SAXTC Prez, what's up, brother?
How's it going, man?
There's somebody, another one, who I think would be great running for some type of office in Texas. I think Todd would be great at being in charge of Border Patrol as well. You know, he was one of the first ones I actually watched that was, I don't know what you want to say, like Second Amendment auditor, but also First Amendment, and, you know, Fourth and Fifth Amendment. When he did his Border Patrol checkpoint video, his first one, and, you know, they threatened to smash his window and drag him out of the truck and all that, you know, because he did it based on what happened to Pastor Anderson. And so, but Todd has proven himself time and time again to be very caring of the movement and not the bull. He doesn't involve himself in any of the bull. He doesn't involve himself in any of the drama. You know, and he's done so many audits. I fully intend, now that I'm off probation, to get down to Texas and do some audits with him. I really do.
Like, I don't know if I'm gonna do audits. Yeah, SAXTC. Actually, you know, what's so funny about this whole movement thing and my switch from one side to the other is that just about everyone that is in the movement, I would still have a beer with. You know, like I could still get along with just about anybody.
Trump said, look at what he said.
Oh, bad echo.
Who's got the echo, Todd? Me or him? I'm deaf, so I'm reading everything.
I would say I'm all for freedom. You know, I think people should have the freedom to make good and bad choices. You know, the freedom to not or to wear the should have the freedom to not wear your seatbelt, if you know what I'm saying, right? Should have the freedom to not be safe. You know what I mean, right? Is that like government wants you, or left, excuse me, the left wants to take all guns away because the government will protect you. It's like, no, I don't want the government to make me safe. I want to be in danger. You know, that kind of thing. It's all about freedom. You know, like.
Well, I see, like I was saying with Todd, you know, the man drives around with a freaking shotgun on his motorcycle. I would feel safer with him than with most cops, simply because most cops don't have the level of training that he has with weapons and weapon safety and, you know, target practice and whatnot. You know, and keeping it cool under tense situations. I've never once seen Todd lose his cool. Never.
Right.
So,
yeah, certainly the prospect of weapons on the road is kind of scary, but that's what freedom is. Freedom is scary. You know, it's best to have one with you too, so you can combat whatever road rage is coming your way. You know.
Yeah, it's just unfortunately we don't have that luxury up here. Like I said, there's no such thing as open carry in New York State unless you count knives.
Right,
Knives have to be open carried. You're not allowed to conceal them. You know. So I studied up on the law on that because I personally love knives, and when I got put on probation, that was the biggest thing I hated about probation was I couldn't carry my knife. Now that I'm off probation, I've been like trying to design a new knife for myself, and because it's for me, I'm having the hardest time designing it. So I'm thinking about going with like a K-bar. But yeah, I mean, the whole freedom is scary thing, yes. I think that's why there's such an issue with you're not allowed to do living in the woods on your own or whatever.
Right.
Because they're worried that something is going to happen and you're going to sue them or whatever. I mean,
Or they're concerned that in the sense it's like that's not safe. You can't live out in the woods. What if you break your leg and die out there? You'll be dead. So no, you're not allowed to do that. We want to be able to know that you're out there and that if you die, we want to be able to put you down as dead. It's that kind of thing. You've got a barcode and you're missing from our inventory. That's pretty much what they're saying.
right. Yeah, that I agree with. I just want I hate the fact that they talk. Our government is so big on the country being free and freedom this and freedom that, and you know,
And then they go and say, you're not allowed to die of a heroin overdose. We won't allow you.
It's not even now. It's at the point where you're not even allowed to get pain management.
Right.
Because, God forbid that there's certain people out there that abuse it and they ruin it for the rest of the world. It's ridiculous. Todd Ferguson versus Texas Department of Public Safety. Okay.
Yeah, Wayne Rogers brings up that there was recent somebody went into their home. It was on fire. It was like an apartment building, and it was the second floor. His dog was about to die in the fire, and police were telling him to stay back. And he wound up breaking through, busting the window, and getting his dog out. He was arrested for it, because he endangered people, kind of thing. That's the kind of scary thing, is that even though he did what he felt was the correct thing to do, he still paid that price. I think that he'd still do it anyway, but the reasoning they gave was because when he broke that window, he allowed air to flow into the burning building. And if anybody knows anything about firefighter training, all you got to do is bust open one window, and it creates a flash.
Yeah, I remember the movie Backdraft.
Well, backdraft is a real thing, though.
Yeah, I know, but I'm saying that's what made it more well known to the public, because
yeah.
I mean, I didn't know that until I watched that movie, and I don't think anybody I knew that.
Those are some really cool training videos.
Todd says that you got an echo.
Oh, you know what it is?
I can't hear you, so obviously I didn't know.
It's my volume is up too high. That's what it is.
Yeah, Todd, this guy is on his gas. Former auditor turned anti-auditing, basically.
It went from anti-police, pro-auditing to okay police, pro-auditing to pro-police, pro-auditing, then pro-police, anti-auditing, now okay police, okay auditing. That's where I'm doing it now.
Which is where the hole is he full of hot air comes into play.
Yeah. I've been learning as I go. Certainly ever since the my first municipal building, or my first fire truck. I tell you, that is what changed me, man. That's what changed my whole stance on police and government. Is my love for firefighters.
Yeah, but you just like a man in uniform.
I love those big trucks, man.
Don't lie, you like the men on the trucks.
I won't lie. Jerks, everybody loves a jerk. Firefighters are jerks.
So, alright, guys. Well, we've been up for about an hour and a half now, and I think we've talked about a lot of different issues, and at least you guys have gotten to talk to Gas yourself. Like I said, I like Honest Gas, the artist. If you guys haven't checked out his artwork, check it out, because he does great wire work. So
this is my
recent adaptation
I'm
for
still
the
waiting
armor.
for my 40th birthday pendant.
Yeah, I'll have to get around to that someday, huh?
So, but like I said, I'm gonna have Big Nick on Saturday night.
Okay.
There's a guy who's literally his channel name is Fuck the Police. I'm trying to see if he wants to come on tomorrow night. I'm not sure, but
Right.
beyond that, as I've said, this software I use, this meeting software, is expiring this weekend. So if anybody wants to contribute to renewing the subscription, the PayPal address is above my head. It would be, I appreciate any help on it because I like to do these interviews, but
Yeah, I'd like to come back.
if I have to go solo from now on, then that's what I got to do. But I do like doing these meetings, so.
For sure.
But otherwise, yes, I appreciate you coming on and standing up for yourself. And I know some people saw you as fodder for arguments, but
For sure, I'm always willing to answer questions.
And you guys are always welcome to talk to him on he streams all the time too.
So, I'm not really sure what you mean by hypocrisy. Specifically, what though, Mr. I know we're trying to get off. So we can actually have that discussion later if you want, Mr. I'll always have my Discord for anyone who wants to talk to me personally.
Yep, all that information is on his channel. You can find his Discord, his streams, his wire work.
Right, Albert. That's
yes, Albert.
Good point part.
So, all right, guys. Thank you all for coming and hanging out again. Look forward to my streams this weekend. So, talk to you all later.
Dustin, thanks for having me on.